What's up, YouTube? So you're probably wondering who this guy is. So my name's John. I'm a big college football fan. For the past 6 years, I've done my own little predictions, just kind of for fun, just on my own. And what I would do with that is I'd pick the top 5 teams in the polls, and then another 5 games. Just kind of pick who the winner was. Not really do point spread or anything because I'm not that serious about it. So I would pick, like I said, the top 5 teams in whatever poll was relevant then. So first half of the season, use the AP poll, and then once the BCS or College Football Playoff poll would come out, pick those top 5 teams, and then whatever other 5 games interest me. I'm a big Georgia fan, so I'd pick the Georgia game, and I graduated from Georgia Southern, so whenever I went there, I picked the Southern game. Didn't do that last year because I didn't go there, and I didn't feel bad either because they were god awful. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm going to do. Just kind of try every week to get video out, and just kind of go from there because, I kind of have a little like encyclopedia of knowledge of college football locked in here, and I'll watch guys on, ESPN or FS1 who get paid money to do this, and I'll watch them, and they'll be like, yeah, Dalvin Cook, when he was with the Seminoles in 2013, was battling for carries, and I'm like, Dalvin Cook was in high school. He was with FSU in 2014. Wow, you guys suck at your jobs. Not really. It's more like they just have so much to remember. So, anyway. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to pick the top 5 teams in the polls. 5 more games. Probably a little more. And just try to do this every week. Like I said, just for fun. Nothing really serious about it. Like I said, try to do 10 games because it does get a little hard. Like September, October. It's hard when one team in the top 5 is on a bye. Georgia's also on a bye. And also all the other games just suck. Like you get, the top 5 or 4. You get like my set games. And then I'm kind of looking around the college football landscape. And I'm like, wow, all these games suck. Yeah, so we've actually got 11 games. So yeah, going to start off with the first game. It's actually happening tonight or last night whenever this video gets posted. Wisconsin versus Western Kentucky. Wisconsin doing the usual cupcake schedule. This is a little bit dangerous for them because Western Kentucky likes to throw the ball. And, when we kind of see Big Ten teams play teams that air it out, they tend to struggle a little bit defensively. Wisconsin, they've got Jonathan Taylor, who's coming back. Last year, he set the FBS freshman record with like almost 2,000 yards rushing. I think he's 1,977 yards rushing. Getting dudes a beast. Finished, I think, 3rd in Heisman voting as a true freshman. Only going to be better this year. Probably if Wisconsin gets a little more imaginative on offense, such as, I don't know, throwing him the ball, I think he probably could have an even better year. Also, Wisconsin, they always seem to have a really good O-line. Hard to tell if their backs are good or if their O-line's just that good. They're gonna have Alex Hornibrook back, he's your average Badgers quarterback. He's decent, really good at selling the play action. Not really gonna hurt you with his arm, but enough to keep the defense honest. Thoughts on this? Obviously, Wisconsin's going to win. I think Western Kentucky is gonna give them fits early on with their aerial attack, but I think in the second half, Wisconsin just starts to wear down the defense, and I think they end up winning just time of possession where they don't give Western Kentucky that many opportunities. So, next game is Ohio State versus Oregon State. This game's actually a little more interesting than it was probably if you first saw it. Last year, Oregon State wasn't that good. I remember I was watching a show on ESPN. David Pollack said USC plays Oregon State, so they basically have a bye this week, if that gives you any thoughts as to how bad Oregon State was last year. So this would be just a walkthrough. However, with everything that's happened with Ohio State, I'm interested to see what their mindset's going to be. Are they going to come out flat? Are they going to be super sharp and crisp? Are they going to come out a little flat in the first half? And are they going to pick it up in the second half? Spoiler alert, that's what I think is going to happen. And then just a few things to watch in this game. Dwayne Haskins, new starting quarterback for the Buckeyes. He's got a good arm. He came in, looked good against Michigan from what I've heard. Kind of curious to see if he actually could have started last year had JT Barrett not come back for his senior year, because kind of when you see that, it's kind of like, do they go with the senior because he is the best or because he's just been around for that long? And that's something that you kind of wonder about in your head. Another player to look at is J.K. Dobbins. He was really good last year. As then they've got him and Mike Weber. So Dobbins, kind of that thunder, pound between the tackles, wear defenses down. Mike Weber, I think, averaged around 6 yards a carry last year. He's kind of that lightning. He's going to, probably 10, 15 carries a game. He's going to be that guy where, if you've ever heard of 3 yards in a cloud of dust, J.K. Dobbins is going to be the 3 yards. And then and Mike Weber is just going to be the cloud of dust, where our defense is just kind of see his heels as he's running away from them. Next game, I think, is going to be a lot of fun, and also a good bit of interest. Oklahoma versus FAU. So you've got kind of two of the top offensive minds in college football, in Lincoln Riley and Lane Kiffin, kind of going at it. I think this is going to be a really fun game to watch. You've got Oklahoma, who's breaking in Kyler Murray, who is kind of stepping in for Baker Mayfield in his pretty much one and only season. I'm not saying that because I think he's going to go in the draft. But for those of you who don't know, he was drafted number 8 overall in the MLB draft, I think by the Oakland A's. So pretty much he's probably going to play 1 year, then go to pro baseball, which is probably just better for him because, they get paid better from what I've heard in the MLB than in the NFL. And also just his size. I think he's 5'11", not really big, so he doesn't have good prototypical size. So it's going to be fun. I think they're going to be a lot more run-oriented this year just because I think his first play last year when you played against West Virginia, because Baker Mayfield was suspended for a series, was a 60-some-odd yard touchdown run. No, it was just like a 63-yard run, and it was like, wow, we're good. So, and then just watching their offense, Rodney Anderson's a good all-around back. He can run the ball and catch the ball. Marquise Hollywood Brown, he kind of, if he gets behind your defense, you're not catching that man. Just kind of, if you're a DB, just kind of stop and just, if your coach gets mad, you just be like, have you seen this guy, coach? And he's going to be like, yeah, sorry about that. FAU, again, they were, coached by Lane Kiffin. A lot of offensive potential. They were really good last year. And also, if you're a fan of Last Chance U, they're going to have 2 Last Chance U alums from Season 2. Tim Bonner, I think he's definitely going to special teams. Probably will also play some. And DeAndre Johnson was in the starting quarterback competition. I'm not sure if he's going to start, but the point is he's there. So if you're a fan of Last Chance U, want to see some of the guys actually play, definitely check this one out. So next game is actually going to be a fun shootout. Yes, I have notes. I'm not doing all this off the top of my head. Ole Miss versus Texas Tech. So if you're a fan of offense, you're a fan of high-scoring games, highly recommend this game. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you're a fan of defense, don't watch because you will regret your life decisions. I saw the over-under for this game was 60, and I'm like, for the first half, have you seen these teams' defenses? So Ole Miss, their offense is going to be stellar. They've got Jordan Ta'amu back, which is a big reason why Shea Patterson is now at Michigan. They've got their 3 dynamic receivers back. They've got DK Metcalf and DeMarcus Lodge, who I'm pretty sure are both 6'3" or 6'4". So red zone DBs, regret your life decisions. A.J. Brown, who is going to be one of the top receivers in the draft, if not the top receiver in the draft this upcoming year. Also, if you remember Laquan Treadwell, he wore number 1. A.J. Brown wears number 1. Pretty much A.J. Brown is a shorter, faster version of Laquan Treadwell. So if you remember him, he was a big-bodied, physical receiver. Didn't exactly have elite speed, but he was a good route runner and all that. That's A.J. Brown, except A.J. Brown can actually run fast. So it's going to be interesting to watch. Texas Tech, they actually have, I think, 9. Let me check. They've got their top 9 tacklers back, so they kind of have a good defense. Also, again, for you Last Chance U fans, if you remember Dakota Allen from Season 2, he's back to Texas Tech. He's going to be playing. He's also apparently pretty good. He's actually on a few watch lists. He's on the Senior Bowl watch list, so look for him to have a good game in some way, shape, or capacity. Yeah, I'm drooling very badly. Very sorry about that. Where's it going? Oh, yeah. So, like I said, that's Texas Tech's defense. Didn't really mention much about Ole Miss's defense because they're probably going to be garbage. I don't really think they have that many notable players. I just don't know that much. Texas Tech, on the other hand, their offense, they are, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. Their offense, they're replacing receivers and quarterbacks. So they're going to be inexperienced on the offense side, which goes to my prediction, which I just realized I did not make a prediction for Ohio State. and the Oklahoma game. Sorry about that. Ohio State, I think they're going to win handily. I think it's going to be a bit close in the first half. They just kind of get the right mindset, and then I think in the second half they start to pull away. I think Oklahoma wins because even though I think FAU is talented, I don't think they have the depth that Oklahoma has. And also seeing that Oklahoma's defense is also apparently supposed to be good. So I think that's going to wear on FAU in the second half as well. So back to the Ole Miss-Texas Tech game. I think Ole Miss is going to win because I just trust Ole Miss's offensive units better than I do Texas Tech's defense. Or Texas Tech's new offense. Next game is Clemson versus Furman. Next two games, I'm just going to feel sorry for the other team. Furman I feel the most sorry for. I was reading a preview yesterday, kind of preparing for this, and you weren't entirely sure if the person was being serious or if it was a parody, because it was like what will happen in the game? It was like Furman will take an early 3-0 lead and then not score again. I mean, Clemson, the talent Clemson has is unfair. Like, they've got, let's just start on the defense. They've got 9 starters, 8 or 9 starters coming back on a defense that was pretty good. Okay, you look at the D line. They've got Cleveland Farrell, Dexter Lawrence, Christian Wilkins, Austin Bryant. All 4 of those guys, A, play along the defensive line, B, are possibly one of the best defensive lines ever, from what people are saying, and C, all could be first-round picks. Yeah, I feel very sorry for Furman whenever they get to 3rd and long, because they're just going to tell them, hey, go eat. So yeah, that's the defensive side. The offensive side, the interesting thing to watch for is the quarterbacks, because Clemson had a bit of a quarterback controversy this year. Well, controversy. They signed the number one quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, and he's apparently really, 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 really good. Like, they're saying Deshaun Watson-esque. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they do there. It's a little bit of a similar situation with Georgia, which I'll get to in a bit. But it's a little different because the thing is they can play Kelly Bryant this entire year because he's a senior. So that means Kelly Bryant plays this year. They groom Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence plays next year. Georgia can't do that. Get to that in a little bit. So I think Kelly Bryant is going to look really good. I think he's probably going to play definitely the entire first half. Probably won't play into the second half. Trevor Lawrence, we'll get to see kind of what he can do. Also see what some 3rd and 4th stringers can do. This game's going to get ugly really, really fast. Also get to see some Clemson receivers that we maybe don't know. Maybe see if Hunter Renfrow returns. Also get to see Tavian Feaster, Travis Etienne. Also, there's a guy from my hometown, Adam Choice. This is going to be his senior year. Get to see if he breaks out. It'd be really cool to see a guy from Thomasville playing around. Next game is Georgia versus Austin Peay. Again, another one where I feel very sorry for the other team. Obviously, I think Georgia's going to win. Few things to watch in this game. Again, quarterbacks. For those of you who don't know, Georgia, they've kind of had a bit of a quarterback competition this year. It's stupid. I honestly think it's been hyped up by the media because the guy they signed is Justin Fields. He's the number 2 quarterback under Trevor Lawrence. He's the number 1 dual threat quarterback, and he's just different from Jake Fromm, the guy they have now, in the fact that he can run a 4.5 40 and probably can throw the ball as well as Jake Fromm did. Also, Jake Fromm took over from Jacob Eason. Tua Tagovailoa came in and probably stole the job from Jalen Hurts. I'm not going to get into that right now. This is all about the game on Saturday. So from Georgia, what I want to watch is see, do they have Justin Fields come out and run some packages, or do they just have him come in as the 2nd-string quarterback? How does Jake Fromm look? How does the offense look after losing not just Nick Chubb and Sony Michel, but they also lost Zamir White, their 5-star running back, who was kind of going to be the next guy up. He tore his ACL in practice, so he's out for the year. Also, just see how Georgia's recruiting class did. I mean, they signed the number 1 recruiting class this past year. How many of those guys are going to play? Heard Tyson Campbell, James Cook are definitely going to get some looks. It's going to be crazy just seeing all this talent for Georgia. It's weird. No, not used to this. Georgia fans are not used to this much success. On the defensive side, we're just looking forward to seeing, hey, can we recover? D line, they've got good depth. Linebackers, all of them are gone. 3 of the 4 producers, or 4 of the 4 producers, depending on what game you saw, are gone. The only one with returning experience is Natrez Patrick. One guy to keep an eye on is Monty Rice. He had a really strong G-Day game. And then the secondary guy to watch is DeAndre Baker. He's already being touted as a first-round pick. Who starts across from him? Like I said, Tyson Campbell might be a guy. Another guy that they've said is Mark Webb. He was a receiver last year, but then he somehow transitioned over to defense, I think because of his size. And he's doing really well over there. So it's going to be a fun game. I think Georgia's obviously going to win handily. I would not be surprised, though, if this game starts a little slower than some expect, because Austin Peay, even though they are an FCS team, they went 8-4 last year, and they're kind of like on the resurgence. I kind of get a little bit of a Georgia Southern vibe when Southern, they went from being garbage to like 8-4 and got to the playoffs, and then like were really good, and then came to FBS and were good for 2 years, and then sucked. So next game, this is kind of the first marquee game this weekend. Washington versus Auburn. This is pretty much a game of redemption. That's kind of the big storyline. Washington, can they redeem the Pac-12? Because the Pac-12 is really kind of battling the Big 12 for like which is the worst of the Power 5 conferences. Pac-12 kind of has a lead because, this past bowl season, they had the worst record. I think they only won like one of their bowl games. I think they were like 1-1 and 8, 1-7. Point is, they had a very poor bowl record. And then also redemption for Auburn. The last 2 times they were in that Mercedes-Benz Stadium, they were losing to Georgia, and then they were losing to UCF. Thank you, by the way. We now have to deal with UCF actually being a national championship because apparently some poll recognized their national championship, which is based on math and stuff. NCAA, you had one job. Don't make this a thing. So anyway, looking at Auburn, they're supposed to have a really good front 7 on defense. Like everyone returns. They've got Derek Brown, Marlon Davidson, I think is the other defensive tackle. They're going to be really good. They've got all their linebackers back. The back end is really elusive talent because they lost Trey Matthews, Carlton Davis, I think was his name, and a few other secondary players. So that's not good considering you're going against Jake Browning, who's a pretty good quarterback. I'm not sure how much having an experienced front 7 helps. I say that because I read an article a few years ago. It cited Michigan State. 1 year they had an experienced front 7, inexperienced secondary, they went 7-6. The next year had an experienced secondary, inexperienced front 7, and they went like I think 12-1, 13-1. So it's gonna be interesting to see if that actually plays a role in it. On offense, the receiving corps took a hit because 2 guys were going to be big contributors toward their ACLs, so they're good. So they're done for the year. Jarrett Stidham, he's the second team All-SEC, had a 67% completion percentage this past year. Going to be interesting because he's really the first true quarterback that Auburn has had in this offense. I feel like Auburn fans kind of don't know what to do with that because they're like, all right, he can actually throw the ball. This is weird. And even I think Gus Malzahn is a little perplexed as to what we do with this because I was watching a show last night and it was like, because usually the Gus Malzahn offense is usually just like short passes out of the flat, out of like slants. It's not really bombs downfield or mid-range passes or stuff like that because it's just not for some reason. So I think that's going to be interesting to watch, and also the running back situation. Again, Auburn doesn't have a go-to running back, but they haven't really had that the past few years, really, like when the season started, or it's changed, a couple years ago. If you guys remember, Cameron Petway, he kind of came out of nowhere. It was the bell cow. Then last year, Kerryon Johnson beforehand was really just kind of speed back, and then when Cam Petway, whatever happened with him, he just like disappeared for some reason. He started really kind of carrying the load, and then against Georgia, it was like, okay, he's not just speed. He can also carry the ball 30 times. Darn it. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do now that Johnson's in the NFL and Petway is in the NFL and was also not welcome back to Auburn. Yeah, that's a really weird situation. So I was going somewhere with that. Yeah. So the guy coming back is Cam Martin. He's supposed to be the next back, but I don't think it's going to be him. I think it's going to be someone that we haven't even heard about or are really talking about because that's kind of happened the past few years. So that's going to be interesting. And then receivers, watch Ryan Davis. He set the Auburn school record for receptions in a season with like 75, 79, but his yards didn't look that good. So you'd think, oh, he doesn't have great speed or anything like that. But really, he was just that guy who would just come out on, and get those little 2 to 3 yard catches. And then if you watch his highlights, you actually see he has a really long touchdown catch where he makes guys miss and then, goes to the end zone. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that works. See if he is used more downfield or if he's still that quick guy, make people miss type person. So Washington, two guys to watch on offense, Jake Browning and Myles Gaskin. These are two guys who have played like all 4 years, and people who cover college football are kind of like, okay, how many years of eligibility does this person have? Why are we talking about them every year? Because they played as true freshmen. Myles Gaskin is, to me, one of the most underrated running backs in the nation. Like, he's going for his 4th season of rushing for over 1,000 yards. Jake Browning, to me, is also underrated. I think in 39 starts, he has 78 touchdown passes. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do, see how Auburn tries to mess with Jake Browning, if they can contain Myles Gaskin, because I was watching his highlights. He is fast. Like, they were saying that they might not do much up the middle, but on the edge, they're like, who's going to tackle him? Like, what are they going to do if he gets to the edge? They don't have a bona fide receiver, but I think they'll probably find one. Then the Huskies defense, they have been very, very underrated on defense. They've had guys go in the first round the past few years. Vita Vea last year. They would have had 2 had Sidney Jones not torn his ACL. The point is, they're going to have a really good defense. They also have a guy in the secondary named Taylor Rapp, who, his last year, his stats weren't that good because teams didn't throw near him. His freshman year, he had like 5 or 6 picks. He picked off Sam Darnold twice, so that tells you anything. So I think it's going to be really interesting. Also, the defense returns 9 starters as well, so that gives you anything. This game, I think it's going to be – I'm taking Washington in this game. I think – the defense, I think, is just going to smother Auburn a bit more. I think Washington's going to come in with a bit of a chip on their shoulder. I think a bigger chip than Auburn does. So I like Washington in this matchup to get the W. So another game, I think it's on at 7:30, is Michigan playing Notre Dame. Big storyline in this game is Jim Harbaugh. If you guys don't know, Jim Harbaugh's been there for 4 years. He's kind of starting to wear his welcome because he started out really well. He's actually had pretty decent records, but it's like, dude, you're 1-6 against your rivals. And one of them was when Michigan State wasn't good. So, if he wins this game, that noise kind of goes away and we see Michigan as a playoff contender. If he loses, there's going to be a lot of talk about him either being fired or is it time for him to move on and go back to pro football. For Notre Dame, it's kind of the same thing. Brian Kelly seems to always kind of be on the hot seat. Even after he has a good year, he's kind of on the hot seat. And again, Notre Dame is kind of a team that has a lot of high expectations. I see on ESPN they're like the number 4 team, fourth most likely team to make it to the college football playoff. Could not make words there for a second. So sorry, I got ADD just then. So yeah, this game, things to watch. There's Michigan has a really, really, really good defense. They got Rashawn Gary, who was a number 1 overall recruit a few years ago. He's going to be, I think he's the number 3 player on Mel Kiper's big board. Devin Bush as well. Really good linebacker, really fast linebacker. Good sideline to sideline. So, be prepared, for what. And I think they're going to smother Notre Dame's offense, which I'll get to in a little bit. On the offensive side of the ball, they've got Shea Patterson, who transferred to Michigan. It's going to be really interesting to see what Harbaugh does with him. Does he try to tailor the offense to his skill set? Does he mix in some pro style with some spread concepts? Because Shea Patterson, I think after his freshman year, there were coaches saying he kind of reminded them of Johnny Manziel, except he actually has talent. Bird. Yeah, so then looking to Notre Dame on offense, big story is which quarterback will play the whole game. Because they've got 2 guys. They've got Brandon Wimbush, who's a true dual threat guy. He had 16 passing touchdowns, 14 rushing touchdowns. He does struggle passing the ball, though. Or he's not it's not his forte. Like, he can, but he's not. But it's not his forte. The other guy, Ian Book, he is a better passer, and he also saw a lot of time late in the season. He actually played in their bowl game and actually helped them to win the bowl game. So I'm wondering, does Brian is there a quarterback competition, or Brian Kelly has been known to play two quarterbacks. At Cincinnati, he had two quarterbacks with different skill sets. He used them well. He also played Everett Golson and Tommy Reese back in 2012 until Everett Golson got going a little bit. So would not be surprised if he has a two-quarterback system. As far as my prediction with that, I think Michigan's going to win. Because one reason is because Notre Dame lost two first-round picks off the O-line, and it doesn't matter if Wimbush plays quarterback or Ian Brook. They're not going to be able to do much if Rashawn Gary and Devin Bush are chasing them around in the backfield. So I like Michigan's defense to help them win this. Low scoring, but I like Michigan in this game. Last game on Saturday is Alabama versus Louisville. Pretty much big story in this is the quarterback. Who's going to start a quarterback? That's kind of been the question all along that we kind of just want an official answer to. I think everyone knows it's going to be Tua Tagovailoa. Okay, you don't just come in, make Georgia's defense look beatable, and not win the job. Jalen Hurts was garbage in that game. He went 3 of 8, 51 yards. No, 3 of 8, 21 yards. He was terrible in that game. Tua Tagovailoa, he was the starter. Georgia's defense didn't have much time to prepare. I still like Tua more. I think he still gives you that dual threat capability that Jalen gives you, but he also is a much more refined passer than Jalen. I actually heard Kirk Herbstreit earlier this week come out and say that if Tua walks out on the field for the first series, he's going to apologize to every team on their schedule because they're about to drop 40 or 50 points. And when was the last time you heard that an Alabama team was going to do that? Solely based on their quarterback. You kind of got that feeling when Lane Kiffin was their offensive coordinator, but not since, in the few years. So, that's going to be interesting to watch. Now, as far as Louisville, they're breaking in a new quarterback. His name is Jawan Pass. He's got a good arm. I think it was the number 9 dual threat quarterback in his class. But again, he's inexperienced. Alabama runs a complex defensive system. So, I don't think they're going to win. I think Alabama's going to win handily. I think Tua's going to start. It's just things to watch for from Alabama. Just their offensive players. They've got Damian Harris going for his third 1,000-yard rushing season. Najee Harris could be the next great running back from Alabama. Their receivers, they've got Jerry Jeudy, who was the number 1 wide receiver recruit coming out of high school. Probably going to be the next Calvin Ridley, Mark Cooper, Julio Jones. Henry Ruggs, the guy who had almost as many catches as touchdowns. Devontae Smith, the guy who caught the touchdown in the national championship game. We're going to talk about that. And also, bigger catch to me, he also had the game-winning touchdown catch against Mississippi State that they helped to get them to the playoffs. So, again, I think Alabama's going to win. Game on Sunday is Miami versus LSU. That is going to be in the U. Not sure where their home stadium is, but it's going to be there at night. Not a good area for LSU. They're probably going to walk in and be like, "Wow, is this what it's like when teams play us at night?" I feel sorry for them now. Just a few things to watch. Is Miami actually back, or was last year a fluke? They were really good last year. That's what everyone was saying. The U is back. The U is back. Then they kind of ended on a flat note. They lost to Pitt. I think they lost their bowl game as well, and just got destroyed by Clemson in the ACC championship game. That's really a big storyline. LSU going to get to see their, suffocating defense. They got 2 guys who are going to be first-round picks. Devin White, Greedy Williams. Good way to describe Devin White. If you saw Georgia's Roquan Smith last year, he's kind of smaller than Smith, faster than Smith. He has good sideline to sideline. He's probably going to be in on every tackle. I think if LSU wins, he's probably going to have an insane number of tackles. And also another storyline, Miami had a bad third down offense. LSU had a good third down defense. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that matchup works. And then with Miami, they have a loaded linebacking core and secondary. I think they have all 3 linebackers back. And that's going to be a Miami defense going up against a bad LSU offense. They do have Joe Burrow, who was highly recruited, did go to Ohio State, but again, LSU, it seems, has been terrible on offense the past 2 or 3 years. Seems like the last time they were good was when they had Zach Mettenberger, Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, and Jeremy Hill back in 2013. So it's just kind of been sad watching LSU on offense the past few years. So what I got in this game, I got Miami over LSU in a defensive battle, but I like Miami because they got a little bit more offense. I think that little bit of extra offense is going to help. Then my 11th game, Labor Day game, Florida State versus Virginia Tech. What to watch for in this game is Florida State's DeAndre Francois coming back from injury. I think he's going to be the starter. Going to be interesting to see what they do with that. Over under on how many times he gets hit. I'm going 10 because Florida State's offense the last couple of years has not been good protecting the quarterback. Also, Cam Akers. I think he broke Dalvin Cook's rushing record for a freshman last year. So I think he's going to be the next great Seminole running back 2 years after the last great Seminole running back left. Kind of crazy how that works. And then Virginia Tech, watching Josh Jackson. He kind of came on last year, looked really good. Kind of faded down the stretch as most true freshmen do. But again, not that surprising. So, yeah. That's it. No, it's 11 games. I said 10. Sometimes there's a few extra games where I'm like, gotta add those. So yeah. So obviously this is my first YouTube video. So just kind of give me some feedback. Let me know what I can change. Probably the length. I'll try not to make it this long. In the future. I just kind of rambled some. So yeah. Thank you guys. Later. Peace out.